Hey gang, good to see you guys. You know, we talk often about something called the precinct strategy. Steve Bannon has been pushing this. It was huge in the Virginia election with Glenn Youngkin, of how patriots are actually taking over at the precinct level. Well, I have someone here who is running to do just that. This is Weston. Weston's here, he's a good friend, and he's going to be giving us a little insight in what inspired him to run for precinct level and also what it involves, because a lot of us don't know. It's a little mysterious. So Weston, thanks for being with us.
Awesome, yeah, thanks for having me.
Can you give us a little bit of a backstory to how you even got involved with politics and the like?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town in Texas, actually. So I'm a Pennsylvania transplant here a couple of years ago, and almost our entire time in Pennsylvania was in lockdown. So folks ask, you know, how do you like the state? How do you like the city? It was like, well, we haven't had a chance to explore it, really. But now that things are open, in the transition, you know, with the Trump presidency, it had a profound impact on us as a family, in just, you know, feeling like we had a voice finally for once. And then all that momentum was taken away. And so as we kind of talked as a family and amongst our community, like what's the best way to try to get some of that back? I really became convinced that, you know, the push for nationalism starts in our neighborhoods. And that there's no recovering our county or our country without recovering our county. And so, as I talked to local politicians, you know, they recommended the best place to get involved is at that precinct level, because that's the neighborhood. It's your neighbors. It's the people at the polls. Like we see the poll numbers and we see these big total numbers. Well, where does that come from? It comes from the precincts, from your neighbors actually getting out to the polls, and that's a large part of it.
So give us a little insight. What is running for precinct involved? What does precinct do?
So the running, actually just this past weekend in the middle of a snowstorm, I was out gathering a petition of signatures to my community members who said, I support this person to be on the ballot. You know, so that's the first step, is just get out there and get to know your neighbors. And it's great if you never had an excuse before to figure out who's Republican and who's Democrat in your area. And it's amazing. Like I was really surprised at how many people opened up. You know, once they knew that, hey, I'm a safe person to talk to about all the frustration, you know, that you have and all the feelings that you've had, you know, through the lockdown, et cetera. And so once you get on the ballot, of course, you're going to be, you'll be voted in after the campaigning. Hopefully, you'll be voted in the primaries. And then from there, honestly, for me, this is my first political exposure, so it's going to be a learning experience, you know, getting to know who are those other folks that are in a Republican Party locally, and how can we encourage them and hold them accountable at the same time.
How many people are voted in at the precinct level?
Yeah, so there is, I think in our precinct alone, in Manheim Township, we've got a total of 45, 46.
Wow.
So there's a lot of folks.
Wow. And are you going to be running against somebody?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that would be a Democrat, I take it?
No, it's going to be Republican.
Another
primaries. Yeah. So the way the precincts break down is you have a Republican committeeman and woman, and then you have a Democratic committeeman and a woman. So both of those are going to be running in the same precinct.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Impressive. I don't know if you followed the Virginia election, but that was one of the things that they were doing. They had thousands. The Washington Post had a fascinating article on how many Republicans, a totally unprecedented number, who were overseeing the precinct at the precinct level.
I think we're going to start seeing that again, like we saw as just a voter on the street. We felt helpless as we're watching all these things go down at the polls, you know, for instance, and there's nothing like, how can I ensure that my vote gets counted? Well, one of the ways is to get involved and be those people on the front lines to hold everyone accountable.
Oh, from your lips to God's ears. Excellent. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Weston. This is we'll be following you very closely.
Okay, appreciate it.
Absolutely.